me. You did that really weird.
Did I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
There was no like H on hello.
Hello.
But I'm on board.
Good. I'd like to change things up every so often. Keeps you on your toes, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure thing.
Welcome to the Bottom of the Stream movie show. My name is Adam.
My name is Nick. World famous Bottom of the Stream movie show.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. We've been downloaded in a lot of countries now.
Yeah, exactly.
World famous. What's it like to be world famous?
I don't try to let it affect me.
It's not change your life too much. Good.
No.
Keep yourself grounded, Nick.
Just here to talk movies. And boy, what a movie this week.
Oh, wow, what a movie. So this week we are watching a film called American Mary. American Mary was released in 2012. It is an 18, justifiably. It runs for 1 hour and 43 minutes and is currently rated as 6.3 out of 10 on IMDb.
Interesting.
It's high.
That is pretty... In the curve that we tend to dwell on,
Yeah.
that's pretty high.
Anything over a 5 is big for us.
Yeah.
6.3. Stars a lady called Catherine Isabel. She plays Mary Mason, the aforementioned American Mary. Do you know who she is?
No.
Have you ever seen Ginger Snaps?
Years ago.
She's Ginger.
Is she?
Ginger Snaps.
Oh, I did not pick that up.
She's also in Freddy vs. Jason.
I saw that once in the cinema. So.
Same. I've never seen it since either. She's known as a modern day scream queen because she only really does horror films, but she doesn't like that title. She doesn't like horror films.
Oh,
but she only makes horror films.
It's work, isn't it? So.
Exactly. She earns a living. Also stars Antonio Cupo. He plays Billy Barker. Didn't find anything out about him. I've never known him before.
Fine.
And also stars Tristan Risk. She plays a character called Beatrice. Has a great name, Tristan Risk.
That's a lovely name, isn't it? That rolls off the tongue.
She has done a lot of B-movie horror movies.
Okay.
2 I've picked out with my favourite titles.
Sure.
Frankenstein Created Bikers.
Okay. Right.
Which sounds like one of your...
That's made up.
It's not made up.
That's not real.
It's real. And she's also in Amazon Hotbox.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which is another B-movie. Written and directed, this film, by Jen and Sylvia Soska.
Okay.
They are identical twin sisters.
They pop up in this movie.
They do pop up in this movie. They've written and directed a lot of stuff together.
Sure.
They do a WIH series of films, which is Women in Horror. So there's a lot of those.
Yes.
But most famously, they wrote and directed See No Evil 2.
Of course.
Have you seen See No Evil 2?
I don't...
It's got Kane in it.
I've not seen the first one.
It's got the wrestler Kane in it.
Do you watch one with like a massive hook?
Yeah.
He?
So they wrote and directed that. That's probably their most famous film.
Okay.
Other than this, because this I think has a bit of a cult following.
I can see that would be the case. I have no trouble in believing that whatsoever.
No, mate. This is a body horror film.
Yeah.
Yeah? Although there are it's about body modification, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there are body modifications in it, but I wouldn't call it torture porn. Like, it's not like in the vague of like Hostel or Saw.
It's graphic.
Yes, it is graphic.
You see the results, but there isn't a lingering on the cutting and slicing and dicing, is there?
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think there is either. I think I will start us off by saying, and this might sound weird given it's only sort of, nearly 10 years old, this movie.
Yeah.
It's of its time.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel that this lines up very neatly in the sort of those films you talked about, plus like things like The Human Centipede, which I've never seen, but I feel like this is very much within that sphere.
Yeah, Saw and Hostel kind of started that genre, and then it instantly just died off, didn't it? Those films don't get made anymore. And you're right, it was of its time, that time period where these sort of films were they're probably still being made, but they're not in the mainstream now like they were then. And I think that you're right, this film felt very much of its time at that point. It's an interesting one, this.
Yeah, this is not selected by the randomizer.
No.
This was a wildcard choice from our patron, Ross Cook.
It was indeed, yeah. If you
so thank you for...
If you patronise us... Is it patronise? If you patronise us, you get to pick a film every season. Yeah. And we'll go through it. So that's what Ross has picked for this. I have got some words from Ross to read out.
I hoped you would have.
So he only watched it today. I made him watch it today. So it's all fresh in his mind. Do you have a one-word review of
I
American
do.
Mary?
And I will preface that by saying, I'm not going clever, funny. Sometimes you've just got to go with the word that works. And I'm going with surgical.
I think that's fair. I think I'd give you that. I think I'd call it trigger warning the movie. Because
that's more than one word. You can't do that.
Okay, if I was going to rename the movie, that's what I would call it. There's a lot of trigger warnings in this movie. That if you're triggered by a lot of things, you probably should check out. What was that website? Whokilledthedog.com wasn't it? Doesthedogdie.com.
Yes.
That's the trigger warning website, isn't it?
Yeah.
I imagine that there'll be a lot on this one because there's a lot going on in here. There's parts of this that are quite tough to watch.
There are, but I think if you really dig down into this, a lot of it is more of it's implied than is up on screen.
That's fair.
It just stops short a lot of the time. But this goes some places.
Shall we start?
Yeah, this is we're going deep into this subculture here, aren't we?
This is no Arlo the Alligator Boy.
Oh, no way.
Where we couldn't be further from it if we wanted to.
I mean, I like to think that there's not too many shows which, within the space of a few weeks, would span a kids' animated musical.
There's not another podcast out there like ours. Mate.
And a surgery body modification horror movie. But that's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what we're all about. So, where does this film start, Nick?
There is something being stitched up.
Yeah,
and sliced into.
Sliced and then stitched back together again.
That looks like a chicken.
So did I. Why did it look like a chicken?
It's a chicken.
It's a chicken.
Ave Maria is playing in the background.
3 times that plays during this film.
Yeah. We're developing a new theme this season.
Okay.
And that is classical music or opera playing in the midst of some horrific imagery on screen.
That's a good point. You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all. That is a good point. So we cut. Basically, there's a girl cutting up a chicken and throwing it back together.
Yeah, she's practicing.
She's practicing surgery.
Got a student.
Yes. And we know she's a student because in the very next scene, she's in a lecture.
She is.
And she's being lectured by a guy. And
there are other people there. It's a full lecture.
She's in a lecture. Yeah. And she gets told off because her cell phone goes off. Because she's got an iPhone. And they make sure you know that she's got an iPhone. It's in this film a lot, her iPhone. It just always is on the screen. It's bizarre. So he kicks off during the lecture, but she answers all of his questions. She is paying attention. She knows what he's talking about.
Mary is instantly set up with this scene that Mary is a clever student. She is high performing.
Yeah.
In this...
She knows what she's doing.
Surgery school, I guess.
She apologises to him afterwards, and they kind of have a bit of a chat, don't they? What was going on with the dubbing at this point?
Right, I've written that. So this is her lecturer, her tutor, Dr. Grant.
Yeah.
I will come back to his name later on. At the minute, he's just Dr. Grant. The dubbing, I've just put he is terribly dubbed.
Yeah, it was there's a couple of points in this film where there's really bad overdubs going on.
There's one here where the camera pans back and they're both in profile, and his lips do not match what is coming out.
Absolutely not. I actually paused the film at this point to check if I was watching a foreign movie in English. I was like, what's going on here?
And one thing I have learned from doing the show is this is more common on this end of the scale, shall we say, than I would have noticed before. Whether that's because the quality of mics at the time of filming were not good, whatever.
It's probably
they've not done a good job of the ADR on this.
It's probably because they're filming in a big lecture hall.
Yeah.
It's echoey, and they've just redubbed the dialogue. Yeah. It's his voice. It just doesn't match up with what he's saying.
No,
it's bizarre.
It's
and it happens a couple of times. There's a detective later on, and I'm pretty sure it happened with him as well. She goes down to the parking garage. She's on the phone. She's
it's
in
a grandma, isn't it?
Yeah, and Nana.
And then the student loans people.
Yes, so she's in debt to the student loans people. She's trying to work out a payment.
What's the minimum she can pay to stay afloat? All while the professor sort of
he's kind of listening in the background. He's
going to his car, but he's definitely eavesdropping, isn't he? He's
absolutely.
rich. He's got a convertible. So.
Yeah. Then when she gets home, she rings her Nana. She has a bit of a chat with her. She turns up a few times in this film. And then while she's talking to her Nana, she's searching sex work job adverts on the internet.
Now, I said this movie is like 10 years old.
Yeah.
But, like, why is she on, like, GeoCities?
I don't know.
It's like a ye olde website, isn't it?
It was an old Apple browser. This film's definitely heavily Apple influenced. She's on some sort of, like, almost like Craigslist kind of website where she's trying to find work. And she finds a job...
It's just tale as old as time. penniless student goes and does some stripping work to make ends meet.
But she finds a job advert where it actually says in the advert, no sex required.
Yeah.
So she applies for it.
Yeah.
So that's where we all start. And then she heads to...
We've all been there,
yeah.
We all start.
That's not what I meant, but fair play.
It's a story for another time.
Yeah, we'll tell that one day in a bonus episode. So she heads to this nightclub, like strip club kind of place, for a job interview.
Yeah. She's looking for Billy.
She's looking for Billy, and she meets Billy. Billy's the manager of this nightclub where she's going to start working. He makes her take her clothes off.
It's an interview.
Of course. That's every job interview I've had. I ended up with no clothes on.
Yeah. Get down to your bra and pants.
She ends up giving him a massage. And while she's doing this, she's talking about, because she gives him a CV, which I thought was really funny, really nice. She's quite naive at this point. That character trait does not last very long in this film, but at this point,
there's a fairly prompt about turn, which I'm sure we'll.
Her character takes a very big turn in this movie. But at this point, she's quite a naive student. Yeah. She's gone for this job interview. She's taken a CV with her, and he reads about her being a student of surgery. Student. That's quite helpful to him because
it's great timing.
It is great timing.
Because suddenly a henchman bursts through the curtain and says, Billy, get out here, there's a problem.
Yeah.
There's some sort of unseen kerfuffle going on in the front of house.
And then he comes back in and he's like, you're a surgeon. Do you want $5,000?
Yeah.
It's like, no questions asked. You don't even have to... He says to her, you don't even have to get your boobs out. He says that. And she's like, yeah, what do you need? So she goes down and there's a guy down there.
In the basement, yeah.
In the basement.
Given what we've just spoken about, let's careful of our language.
There's a guy in the basement who is in need of some quick surgical help.
So he's basically been sliced right up his torso.
Right up the middle.
I think he was missing an eye.
Yeah, I think he was. I didn't want to look because there was a lot of blood going on. But yeah, he had a gash all the way... Stop it. He's so immature. He had a slash all the way up his chest, onto his face.
Yeah, it was up to the bottom of his chin.
And she patches him up. She sorts him out. She gives him some surgery.
But you don't see it.
No.
She leans over him.
Yeah.
And is about to start work. She's still in a bra and pants.
Yeah.
But she put an apron on.
Yeah.
For some reason, this becomes her uniform of choice through the remainder
rest of the film
as well. She does the job. She helps the guy out.
Yeah. And then she gets paid.
Yeah.
He gives her the $5,000 in cash. And she goes back home. And she gets home and she starts crying in the shower.
Yeah, and she vomits everywhere because that was a weird night that's just happened.
What a strange thing that was. That's a strange night. She goes to bed. She sleeps with a baseball bat in her bed because she's like, I feel like shit's going to go down.
Yeah.
That's how she's feeling. And the next morning she keeps getting phone calls on her iPhone. She's got an iPhone. I don't know if you've spotted it.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good. It's 2012. That's a big news.
News. Exactly. She keeps getting a phone call from this lady called Beatrice who's trying to get hold of her.
Dr. Mason she's looking for.
Yeah, Dr. Mary, I think she calls her as well, didn't she? And she kind of ignores these calls because she's like, this has got to be something weird connected with what was going on last night. I'm going to ignore it.
She's like, I'm not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor. You've rang the wrong number.
This in the whole film.
Because she quite quickly becomes a doctor. And then she loses her regular job. She gets a phone call from her boss. I don't know what her job was.
Yeah, I didn't get this.
No.
Because it was not really...
It was just to make her seem desperate, even more desperate than she was.
But I didn't think it was established that she had a job.
It wasn't. It wasn't at all. But she lost her job. And then there's a knock at the door in her flat.
Yeah.
And...
The door tannoy goes.
The door tannoy goes off. And we meet Beatrice for the first time.
Sure.
Now, this is a character.
Beatrice might have been my favourite character.
Of all time?
In this movie.
She's definitely the best thing about this film.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Beatrice is a young lady. We later find out she also works at the Go-Go Bar.
Yeah.
And she has had quite a bit of work done.
40 surgeries. She actually says that.
She's trying to look like Betty Boop.
Yeah. Successfully.
I mean, yeah, you can see what she's going for.
Yeah. She's never going to look like a cartoon, but she looks like the human version of Betty Boop.
I don't think that kind of surgery is possible, yeah.
I want to look like I've been drawn into life. Can you make me 2D? No, she does. And she's got this, like, her face has all been modified, the shape of her face, shape of her body's all weird.
She's got her lips, like, puckered.
She's got puckered lips. She's got the voice of Betty Boop down.
Cheekbones, tiny uplifted cheekbones.
Like she's sucking in her cheekbones all the time. And she's got the very squeaky voice.
Yeah.
And her 40 surgeries have completely changed her body. This is the point where you're like, okay, we're getting a body modification.
Yeah, this is the first of the freaks.
Yeah. I don't want to say freaks.
Sorry, I'll say it.
Unusual cast of characters. And she says, look, I've got a job offer for you, Mary. I understand you're a surgeon.
Yeah.
I've got a job offer for you.
We've got mutual friends.
She's not a plastic surgeon.
She's not any kind of surgeon. She's not qualified.
She's a student.
For all we know, because it's never told, she might be in her first week at surgery school.
Surgery school. Medical school. Yeah, you're right. She might be. We don't know this. We've no idea. She was sorting out debts and stuff, so she might have just started. We don't know this. We never find this out.
Stitching up a chicken.
She becomes quite confident in her abilities very quickly. Beatrice says to her, I've got $10,000.
Yeah.
I need you to do some surgeries on one of my friends who just wants some excess skin removed.
She says to her, I'll give you $200.
$2,000?
No, I thought it was $200 just to listen to me.
Oh, no, just to listen. Yeah, it was $200 just to listen to it. You're right. Then it was $2,000 just to show up.
Yeah.
And then $10,000 to do the surgery.
Yeah.
She's like, Beatrice is like, money's no object to me.
Yeah.
Although she's a stripper in a club. So I don't know why money's no object to her. But it's not. So Mary's like, I can't turn that sort of money down.
Well, and
she wrestles with it a little bit, but not a lot.
No, she does not. No. Beatrice goes into more detail. She says, I've got it all sorted. I've got a friend who works at a vet's.
Yeah.
She's going to let us in there after hours.
Yeah.
You can use all the state-of-the-art vet equipment. And Mary very quickly says, I'll do it.
Yeah, I can't not do it. For $12,200.
I've slept on what went on last night.
Yeah, which made me throw up just to sew a dude up.
And I've got over that quite quickly.
Yeah.
What am I doing? And then Beatrice says, well, come along and meet my friend and we'll go and we'll tell you what the job is, basically. Yeah.
And then Beatrice leaves. Just after that, she gets a phone call from a lecturer.
I'm not sure this is normal practice.
No, it's a bit strange, isn't it? So he calls her. She's missed one of his lectures. So he calls her and says, look, if you miss another one of my lectures, you're done.
And he swears a lot at her.
He swears a lot at her.
Again, not professional or appropriate.
He's convinced surgeons are not allowed to make mistakes. They're like perfect people. And if you keep messing up, you keep not coming to my lectures, you're done, you're out. And then she goes to the surgery. And she meets up with Beatrice back at this vet's.
Yep.
With this drug-addled veterinary nurse who's lent them the surgeon. Beatrice has basically pumped her with drugs and they allowed her to use this vet's surgery. That's the word I'm looking for. And then she meets Ruby.
Yeah, who's Beatrice's friend.
Yes, who she's about to operate on.
Who has also had a lot of work done.
A considerable amount, yes.
Definite. The facelift is not subtle.
Yeah. She's trying to look like a doll.
Yeah.
She wants to be a human doll. And she's halfway there. She's pretty successfully got there so far.
Facially, I would say.
Facially and body shape-wise, she's there.
So what does she want Mary to do?
She wants Mary to remove her nipples and sew up her vagina.
Yeah.
So she becomes literally like a doll. She's got no genital areas.
I think she says, can you seal me up as far as is possible? Yeah,
and remove the nipples.
Yeah. We're getting into some stuff now.
I was like, because she didn't even say, she never said the word nipple. She just said, I need these removed.
Yeah.
Pointed at her boobs. So I was like, was she going to take her boobs off?
Yeah.
But she didn't. That was not what she was asking. And then Mary's
just like, yeah,
fine, I can do that. That's actually easier than I was expecting.
It was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's insulting for me to even say. I feel like by even giving the criticism of there's no character development, because she literally goes from reluctant student to I am up for any of this illegal activity as an unqualified citizen.
Within that conversation, that her whole character changed.
Yeah.
Straight away.
It's ridiculous.
It really is
ridiculous.
It really is.
There is no moral quandary, no ethical internal dilemma here.
If she hadn't have thrown up after that first surgery, it might have made a bit more sense, because you were like, you could tell she didn't want to do that. But if she'd always wanted to do it and hadn't thrown up, it probably would have made more sense. But it was very, very bizarre.
Mary must be talented, because we then cut to sort of the operation.
Yeah.
And she's also an anesthesiologist.
She is. She puts Ruby to sleep.
Which is, a totally different qualification and job. But no, She can just whack it on there, get this woman off to sleep.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to do the sums.
And then we get a surgery montage where she's drawing around this lady's nipples.
There's a lot of nipple in this scene.
There's a lot of, like, full screen nipple. Full screen nip.
You watch on your big TV.
Yeah. I had to draw the blinds. And she basically draws around them. You see her start to cut into them. But like you said earlier, you don't, in a body horror film or a torture porn film, you'd see this happening.
Yeah.
But it kind of cuts away a little bit, and it shows it kind of from Mary's behind Mary.
Yeah.
And especially when she's removing bits of skin from the lower areas and sewing up from. You don't see any of that.
No.
You just see bits of grisly skin landing on the floor. But it's done. She's done it.
Don't use the word grizzly.
Grisly skin? What's wrong with grisly skin?
She does it. She does the work, and she sort of says to Beatrice at the end, "It's done."
Yeah, she goes out and gives her all the care advice, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She's like, she's going to be sore. She don't let her walk around too much. Keep it washed. Don't let it get infected. She's basically been doing the aftercare as well. She's being the nurse.
And then she says, "Don't contact me again.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm out.
I'm not doing this anymore." And she goes home with all of Beatrice's money and throws up again.
Yeah, so she's now like 10, 15, 17 grand plus a bit of change.
Yeah, she was only $360 in debt. She's done well for herself. And then there's a really odd scene with another doctor that because she's got a residency.
Yeah, so she's doing rounds, isn't she? It's the on the job training part
in a hospital.
Yeah, student doctors.
And I didn't get this scene because there's a load of students there, and this doctor's like, "Right, Mary, go and tell that family that man's had their husband's had a heart attack."
Yeah,
and she does. She just goes in, delivers.
Doesn't know who he is. Any details about it?
Doesn't have any idea what's going on. She goes into this family, two kids and a woman. You don't see it. You can just see through the window that she's doing it. Delivers news and just comes back as if nothing's happened.
And he says, "Right, now go and tell them that he's dead."
Go and tell the same people that he's dead. Even though you've literally walked out, they can still see you. And she goes back in and does that. And it's...
This was really strange.
Really strange. They just wanted to establish that doctor is weird. And
every doctor in this is weird.
Every man in this is weird.
Yeah. Well, and most of the women. But
and all of the women, yeah. But yeah, they just wanted... All that was to establish was that doctor's a strange man.
Yeah, I'll just put the teaching doctor is a freak.
Yeah. And it made no sense whatsoever. And I didn't like that scene at all. It made her feel really, like, robotic as well, and she's not. It's really bizarre.
She goes outside for like a lunch break, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Beatrice is there.
Yes.
Not heeded the warning.
No.
She gives her a present.
She does, yeah.
Says this is from Ruby.
Yeah, she's tracked her down and gone to the doctor, gone to the hospital. And yeah, did we see what the gift was? I don't think we did.
I think it was the dress that she wore later to the party, but that's me reading between the lines.
No, you might be right.
Because she sort of, as she was putting it on later on, Mary was like, "Oh, very nice." I was like, "Oh, I wonder if that was the gift." Yeah. But it's not explicitly revealed to us.
One of the doctors sees her talking to Beatrice.
That's Dr. Grant.
Dr. Grant, the original lecturer.
Yes.
And Dr. Walsh tells her that she'll be a great slasher one day.
Yeah.
Apparently that's what surgeons describe themselves.
He's like, and she's like, "Oh, surgery joke." He's like, "Yeah, we're brilliant.
We're so funny as surgeons." He's like, "In fact, there's a surgery party later for all the surgeons in this hospital. Would you like to come to our surgeons party?" Yeah, even though you're only a student.
It's at Dr. Grant's.
It's at Dr. Grant's house. And she's like, "Yeah, I'll go to a surgeons party. Why wouldn't I? Sounds fine.
Yeah.
You guys are not creepy at all. Why wouldn't I?" So she goes home. She gets ready for this party. She checks out Ruby's website while she's there. Ruby's got this like website that chronicles her transformation, I guess. She's got like photos and stuff on it. And whilst doing that, uncovers a whole community of body modification people.
She goes on one other website, but yes, that's what it wants to try and get across. Yeah, that there is a whole subculture.
There's a community out there of these people who are after getting these illegal surgeries done to themselves.
There's things like tongue splitting,
genital something. Yeah, There's all sorts of people have horns put in their heads and stuff. And then she goes to this party where she meets a guy called Dr. Black, who was just a creepy weirdo and who was only in this one scene.
She says, "Are you a surgeon?" And he says, "I'm a fucking motherfucker." I was like, What?
That's not what I asked.
And then Dr. Walsh comes over and he's like, John,
what
are you like?
Idiot. And we never see that guy again.
Yeah.
He's just done. It's a very strange scene. Now, I've written here, everyone is creepy at this party.
Yeah. Why is she not turned straight round?
Yeah. 100%. she's talking to Dr. Walsh, and then Dr. Grant comes over and she's talking to him for a bit. Yeah. And behind them having a conversation, there's a half-naked man just being laid out on a table. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And then there's other doctors like around him doing stuff. She doesn't seem to eyeball that at all. She doesn't notice it at all.
And then Dr. Grant swaps her drink.
Yeah.
But like not sneakily.
Visibly.
He takes it off and gives her another one. Yeah. And she's just like, oh, well, okay. I hadn't finished the last one. But we know it's obvious what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
For someone who is, as a character, Mary is portrayed as, you know, cleverer than everyone else. She's got her shit together. She thinks ahead. You know, she's, you know, Dexter Light, I guess. Yeah. She's so stupid in this scene.
She is. It's
just because the plot needs her to be. There's nothing here. This is not written.
It's a terribly written scene.
Yeah.
This
stuff just happens because it needs to happen to move the story forward. It doesn't make sense to the characters.
I was completely on board with this film until Dr. Walsh turned up. And then the writing just seemed to go to shit.
Yeah.
Until he left.
Yeah.
And it was just like, why have you just written this like 10-minute section? Because he's not in it again after this bit. It was just awful. It's just really bizarre.
It was really bonkers, this whole sort of, push the plot forward section. It was odd. It was so odd.
So odd. Obviously, she's been drugged. She starts to feel a bit woozy.
Yeah.
Dr. Grant helps her to the bedroom, takes her to the bedroom, and then just throws her down on the bed and rapes her.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. She's unconscious on the bed, or in a state of almost unconsciousness, and he's you hear the zip go down on his trousers, and the rest is history.
We cut to the next morning, and Mary wakes up in bed next to Dr. Grant.
Yeah, she's still with him. She's still in bed with him. She knows exactly what's happened. She leaves quietly.
Yeah.
She gets away from him. She goes home and kicks the table over in her flat, and then she goes back to the club.
She goes to see Billy,
and she says to Billy,
Do you? I thought she said, "Do you want to make 5K?"
Yeah,
I thought it was a good line.
It was a good line, and there's another surgery lined up for her to do as well, so she does that. And then she's got Dr. Grant on the table.
Yeah,
this is very Dexter.
So she's hired Billy and his goons to go and capture Dr. Grant.
She basically set up a kill room.
Yeah,
it's very Dexter, this bit. She set up a kill room. She's got him strapped down to the table, and I thought this was the best bit of the film because she's got proper evil now. For
the actress, from her, this was the bit where you actually got to do a bit of acting because I know it is a bit of monologuing, but she gets to do the whole "I've quit med school. You're in for it now." Basically,
you're
I'm not going to kill you. You're going to be alive for a very long time.
Well, she says to him, "I've quit school because I'm going to get into this body modification surgery, and I need something to practice."
She says, I'm going to practice this.
She does I've written it down. She's like, "I'm going to try tongue splitting. I'm going to try implants. I'm going to try teeth filing, genital modification, and voluntary amputation."
Yeah.
And we're going to do it all now. We're not this is not happening.
I'm hoping to try it all over the next
2 days. I think she told Billy to leave her for 2 days. And then it cuts forward in time. I think some time passes at this point. Because she's now got this whole surgery setup in the back of this club. But she's got her own little office, hasn't she? And she's meeting clients and meeting people. And
she's doing it in a flat, I thought.
Oh, was it her flat? I thought it was the back room of his club. Maybe you're right. She moves to another flat later.
Yeah, later on, yeah.
But I thought this was, maybe it was, maybe I don't know. It's something.
Just flash forward, she's got this little business. I remember, she is totally unqualified.
Yeah. She's a quack.
Presumably has no, sterilization. She's just gone off the rails.
Yeah.
She's doing this backroom surgery stuff.
But she seems to be quite successful at it. She performs a tongue splitting procedure.
She does.
On this lady. And this lady can hold a pencil between her tongue. It's so bizarre. Which I presume is real. That lady must have had that.
Yeah.
She just must be an actress who's got that. And then there's a dude there and he's like looking through she's got like a catalogue of what she can offer. Yeah. And he's looking through and he's like, maybe I'll just get a piercing. I'm not too keen on this genital modification, Mark.
And she goes down. She's on him.
She goes down on him.
I was going to say she goes to town on him. She's like, "This isn't the place for you."
Yeah, do I look like pussy. I do piercings?
Yeah.
And then she calls her because she's got the goon that Billy had earlier.
Yeah.
He's kind of, his name's Lance. She's kind of working for him now. He's working for her, sorry. And she calls him in and kicks this dude out. And then in the next scene, she's waiting in the street for a lift or something to happen. And a detective shows up and he just comes, he gets out of his car and he's like, "Are you Mary?" And I'm like, "How do you know who she is? She's just a woman standing on the street." But basically, he's been given the case to investigate why Dr. Grant has gone missing.
We find Dr. Grant's first name out here.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, he's looking into this is Detective Dola, I think. He's looking into the disappearance of Dr. Alan Grant.
Really?
From Jurassic Park.
I didn't pick up on that at all. I picked up the Dr. Grant thing. I picked up on the Dr. Grant thing, but I didn't pick up on the first name as well.
Yeah.
Why have they done that?
I have no idea.
That's bizarre, isn't it? He didn't look like him.
No, he did not.
But he's missing anyway.
That's
probably where he is.
Yeah.
Playing some
the cop says, "Well, we're pretty sure the guy was a sexual deviant."
Yeah. Because we've been given a list by Dr. Walsh
of enemies that he might have.
And it's full of girls that he might have sexually assaulted over time. And your name's on this list. Has he ever sexually assaulted you? And she's like, "No, I've always had a good relationship with him. He was fine."
I do not know if I have got the words to describe accurately how bad of an actor this guy was.
The detective?
Yeah.
Was he doing an English accent?
It was an English accent.
He isn't an English actor. He's from Chicago. I looked him up.
Why
was he doing an English accent then?
The accent was terrible. He's in 3 or 4 scenes.
Yeah.
Atrocious.
I'm going to try and find
absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, he was awful. I picked that up as well.
Maybe they just dubbed it with his English voice.
It was definitely a dub. His voice was definitely a dub again.
So bad.
Yeah,
did not fit.
It was awful. Detective Dola was played by John Emmett Tracy.
Has he done anything else?
He's from Chicago, so he isn't English. For some reason, he's doing a bizarre English accent. He was in iZombie.
Okay, I have seen a lot of those. My wife watched the whole thing.
Don't know how much. That's one of his known flaws.
Okay.
He's also in Batwoman, which was a TV show that CW did a while back. He's an Altered Carbon.
Oh, quite a bit.
He's done a few bits, yeah.
Wow.
But why?
I'm glad to see he's.
I'm not even 100% sure that was his voice. It's
I don't think
entirely possible that he was overdubbed by somebody doing a bad English accent.
Yeah.
Because
in post,
it sounded awful.
Yeah.
The scene in her flat later on was where I picked it up. I was like, I'm not sure that's that guy's voice.
When he's because that scene later on where he's required to actually do
some acting,
put some emotion in, and it's just flat.
It was recognisably bad.
It's terrible.
It really is
awful.
Anyway, he says all this. She says, "No, I've no idea what you're talking about." Dr. Grant. When I left school, I never spoke to him again.
Yeah.
But we cut that back to Billy, who's in the club. I think Billy's on some sort of crazy drugs because there's a couple of scenes where he starts having visions of her.
Yeah, well, all we see him, he's just at this club all the time drinking.
Yeah,
it's all hours of the day.
Yeah, and he has a vision of Mary doing a dance for him at this point. And I was like, "Oh, why is she dancing?" But then she wasn't. He was just imagining her dancing.
Yeah, he's got a thing for her, hasn't he?
Yeah, and then she turns up and snaps him out of it.
She says, "I'm looking for work," and he says, "I've got nothing for you.
Yeah,
I've not got anyone that needs shaking up at the minute."
And she says, "Well, I might have because I've just had a chat with a detective about Dr. Grant that's gone missing."
And she tells Billy that it's Dr. Walsh that's given her name to the car.
Drops his name into the conversation. She doesn't tell Billy to do anything, but she kind of drops his name into the conversation.
He said, "Do you want me to take care of Dr. Walsh?" And Mary says specifically, no, don't do anything.
Knowing that obviously he's going to, because this guy will do anything for her. Then she goes for coffee with Beatrice.
Yeah, there's a line, isn't there, of she says, "Oh,
she won't leave me alone. She keeps
bugging me." So I said, "I'll go with her."
So we go out for a coffee, and Beatrice is like, "I've got some more friends in this community.
Yeah,
I think you should meet them because they're ridiculously loaded."
Yeah, she says they're like the leaders of this subculture. They run this website called Abstract Me. They're like the superstars of body modification.
Yeah, they're the queens,
and they're coming to town next week.
And I think you should meet them.
Yeah.
So Mary says, "Okay, I'll meet them. There's no harm in meeting them." And then these two identical goth twins show up.
Sure.
These are
like
the two
Eastern European.
Yeah, these are the two directors of this film.
Yes.
These are the people that made this. They're responsible for this, whatever this is. They're Hungarian.
Yeah.
The pair of them. They've got like a ribbon through their back skin.
Yeah, piercings down their back. Yeah.
For
a corset through the.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And they meet with Mary and they're like, "We want you to perform some surgery
we've seen
on us.
your work.
We've seen your work." Because she's started setting up her own website actually to show off her work. And they want some very bizarre.
They tell her she's famous. Sorry, before we get into that, and Mary has no idea. She says, "Yeah, you're online
in this community.
Everyone's talking about you." They said they call you Bloody Mary,
which is a much better name for the film.
Yeah, it is.
Where's American Mary come from? And they want some very bizarre surgery done to them.
Yeah,
they want to swap left arms.
Yeah, they do. So they have a part of each other.
Yeah,
forever
because they want to be connected to forever. So they ask her to cut off their left arms and swap them with each other.
Yeah.
And then there was something else as well, wasn't there? She was like, and we also want this other thing doing.
Oh yeah. They want then they give her a drawing. It's and this was weird because what it is eventually, it's not a spoiler because we don't see it.
No.
They want implants to have horns basically.
They want to look like the devil.
Yeah. But then we never see
the results of that.
Which is odd.
Yeah, it is. But
considering they directed it.
When they're like, I want to swap left arms, I was like, what? It made me laugh. It was a bit silly. What's the point?
Interestingly, just a bit of an aside. After I'd watched this movie, I thought I'd do a bit of reading. Read a couple of reviews, and I got to a review, and I wish I'd have written down a website. I didn't. It just goes to show how lazy people can be, because I read this whole review of this movie, and it included stuff, particularly in this scene, that just didn't happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was this whole thing about it wasn't a positive review.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, and the nadir of the movie is when Mary operates on these twins, and the operation is to conjoin them as Siamese twins. And I'm like, that didn't fucking happen.
I thought that's what it was going to be.
Yeah, so
it wasn't that.
So I think they got that far, turned it off, and then just made it up. I was like,
how bizarre.
It doesn't happen.
I'll
try and find it. I'll put it in the Discord.
Lazy reviewers.
Yeah.
And Mary says, yeah, how's Friday?
She goes,
let's do it.
She says, no problem.
Yeah.
Easy.
Cool as a cucumber.
I'm thinking, I don't think it's that easy to remove and reattach an arm.
If they're identical.
There's a lot going on in there.
Yeah. Because there's a scene at the very beginning of the film where the lecturer talks about how long you've got if you get your arm cut off accidentally. How long you've got to put it back on. And it was like 12 at the shoulder, 8 at the elbow, and 4 at the fingers or something the other way around. She knows that it can be done. And I suppose with them being identical, everything's going to be the same.
I'm not sure that's how it works. She says to Billy, when she's met with the twins, she says, I need some help.
Yeah, I can't do this on my own.
It's too big an operation.
Job.
She said, do you know anyone? He's like, yeah, I do, actually. I know another demented surgeon.
And he was.
Yeah.
And this guy was crazy. I thought it was going to be Dr. Walsh. I thought he was just going to be some sort of crazy sideline. I thought that would have been quite funny. Then the surgery starts, and these two women are lying on the table.
It's a montage of surgery.
It is. You see an arm come off.
Yeah.
And then you see another arm come off, and they get swapped over. Then you see the eyebrow area kind of get sliced open, and these plastic implants kind of get pushed in. And then I've written, after the surgery, Billy beats somebody up.
He chucks someone down into the basement and starts beating them up.
Yeah.
Now I think about it, it didn't really clock with me at the time. It's really weird that we see this whole surgery montage and we never see the results.
We never see the results. They never come back again after that.
You
montage.
See them. You don't even see their face. You see them waved off into the car from behind.
Yeah, she wakes them up much later on in the film. Yeah. She goes back and wakes them up. And then just waves them off and see you. But we never see the result of it.
It's odd, that, isn't it?
It is odd. I hadn't picked that up either, but you're right, it is odd. Maybe because these girls didn't really want these horns.
Yeah, Billy beats some guy up, presume a guy, he's got a bag over his head in the basement. And then a bit happens that actually made me sit up and go, oh.
Because I'd forgotten all about this dude.
Didn't expect that.
Yeah, Mary goes off to see Dr. Grant. Yeah. I'd forgotten all about him. I just assumed he was dead.
Yeah, me too. So some time has passed.
A lot of time has passed at this point. He's not in a good way.
No.
He's got no arms and legs.
He's in another basement somewhere else in a warehouse.
He's got no arms and legs left.
No.
She's just left him with nubs.
His mouth is sewn shut.
It is. And he's hanging from hooks through his back skin.
Yeah.
And he's just sobbing. Yeah. He's just in bits because he's just been left there for God knows how long. Just in pieces. It's not nice.
No, it's horrible.
It's horrible. This scene's horrible.
I think this, in reality, this probably took more away from the movie than it added to it.
Yeah, it didn't. It was unnecessary.
It's just there for pure shock.
Yeah. This is the scene that makes it known as a torture porn kind of film.
Yeah.
And it isn't that. This is the scene if this scene wasn't there, people wouldn't be talking about it in that category, in that genre.
I think it's hard to have any sympathy. This makes it horrible because she was horribly raped. it's hard to have sympathy for Mary as a character.
I was going to come to this at the end.
Because of how abrupt her turn of character is. And then this bit where she's literally kept this guy alive for...
Her character turns so much that you don't know who she is.
Yeah.
And you're right, it is really difficult to have any sympathy for her.
Well, it's difficult to have sympathy for anyone in this movie, and
that's what I struggle. I'll get to it at the end, but that's what I struggled with it. She starts taking pictures of him because she's got this new website and she wants to put some pictures up on her website, which seems risky.
Darknet. Was that a thing back then?
Probably. Yeah, it must have been. Suddenly, a security guard knocks her out.
Yeah, he just walks
Where
in.
did he come from?
And of all the months she's kept this guy alive, now the first time we're finding out is when the security guard turns up.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. He just is behind her.
Yeah.
And he knocks her out, and then he's
he's pretty shocked at what he found.
Of course he is. You would be, though, wouldn't you? You're like, fucking hell. So he tries to help out Dr. Granny. He lowers the chains and things like that. But he hasn't knocked her out very well.
No.
Mary batters him to death.
Yeah.
Literally,
brutally.
she grabs whatever it was. I don't know what it was. And she actually gets on top of this dude and she just beats him mercilessly. But again, you don't see that and you don't see the results of it.
There's just a load of blood splatter.
Yeah.
It's the point of view of the camera is looking up at Mary and she's just getting covered in blood.
Yeah. You don't even see the results of it. You don't see that cop ever again, that security guard ever again.
And just to show sort of how all over the place this movie is, we've just said I had that sort of shock moment where you walk in and you see this guy hanging from these hooks. I've now this next bit just made me laugh out loud.
Same.
Because Mary turns around from having battered this security guard to death. And Dr. Alan Grant has somehow wormed his way across the floor.
He's gone quite a long way.
He's about 30 foot away.
Yeah, in a very short amount of time. He somehow managed to move
How
that
is
far. I don't know, because she can't have
strong
been...
abs? I mean...
He must have. But she hasn't been feeding him.
He's got no arms. He's got no legs.
No. And he's been down there for a long time.
Yeah.
Up. And his
Can he
mouth's so
even see?
shut, so he's not eating. Can he see? I don't know.
It
did make me laugh.
Almost got out to the street.
He did, yeah. He almost did.
It was funny. I went, that's just like, how is that? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. And then she tases him. She's got like this taser kind of thing. And the scene cuts away.
And we never see him again, do we?
We never see him again. It's briefly mentioned that she's killed 2 people.
Yeah.
Because there's a weird scene with Lance where they're in a cafe. But we never see him again. Meanwhile, Billy is still beating up a dude. I'm assuming this was Dr. Walsh?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Says later. Mary calls Billy because she's got a dead security guard and a tasered torso.
Yeah.
But he misses the call.
Yeah.
So he says to Lance, can you
go and figure out what's going on?
See what's going on because I'm busy beating this guy up.
And then we're busy because we cut to Ruby. Remember Ruby from the beginning?
I remember her, the Barbie
girl. And she's recovered. She seems okay. Yeah. She's with her husband, who we know because we saw a picture of him earlier. She's going to show him her new body.
Yeah.
And he does not look happy when he sees it.
No, so we get the shot of the nippleless breasts.
Yeah.
The sewn up mound.
The Action Man area.
The Action Man area. And he does not like what he sees.
He does not look happy. There's no reaction, but the scene cuts away, but he didn't look impressed.
Mary's having lunch with Lance, the muscle.
Yeah, her assistant.
And he gets to do a bit of acting. He tells her a story about the time his mum was assaulted in her home. And
he's a big old dude, this guy.
Yeah.
Massive, great big beefy man.
He's like a sort of giant Frank Zappa.
Yeah, he is, yeah. Like a big roadie.
And Mary's like, I don't know if what I'm doing is the right thing. And he's instead of going, no shit, he's like, no, you should never question your actions. You know, he tells a story about his mum being assaulted and says, I wish I knew you back then because if I'd have caught the guy who hurt my mother,
his mum was beaten up with an umbrella and left to die. Then
I'd have sent him to you.
Yeah,
and that would have made things right.
But then he says, this is the line: "Do not devalue what you do; they deserve what they get."
Yeah.
But what she's doing isn't. She's only killed those 2 people. She's not revenging on people. But that makes it sound like she's going out murdering people.
Yeah.
Not cutting their tongues in half. It was a really weird scene.
But he's just helped her cover it up, presumably. It's all off
camera. I assume that
so
they're talking about these 2 people she's just murdered, not the tongue splits and stuff. Then she does a photo shoot for a website, so we get to meet some more freaks. And these are, I assume...
This is where the twins leave as well,
yes,
but you never see them.
You never see them. But then,
They
so
just
there's
go out
people
to the
with
car.
tongue splits, there's people with horns, this is basically a showcase
Patient
of...
montage.
Yeah, it's basically a showcase of... I presume people who have really got this work done to them, and we're just seeing the results of that, I guess.
Is this where there's a guy who's like wanked his penis off?
Yeah. What was that all about?
Because he's had some work done and then ignored the advice to not touch it.
She's done some sort of penis modification on him, and he's ignored the
And
advice.
you just get a brief shot of just like a massive red
muscle.
And she's like, take 2 of these, twice a day for a week. Take these, you'll be fine.
Yeah, be fine. Just stop touching it.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. If she's in her new flat at this point, she's in like a rooftop penthouse kind of flat that's got a hidden surgery in the back room.
Yeah, of course. Making the big bucks.
It's not a nice place. It's like a warehousey type place. But and then the detective shows up again.
He knows where she lives.
Somehow he's found her. He's great at tracking people down, this detective. But then he's a detective, I suppose. I've written here, he's inexplicably English.
It's so... No one's that English.
He's like Dick Van Dyke English.
Yeah.
It's like full on. It's that bad. Yeah. It's that bad. Again, it's a bad dub, so I'm not sure it's his voice. But
yeah, I don't want to be too harsh, just in case
if it is
not
him,
the guy.
If it is him, then he needs to stop.
It's an awful dub or it's a terrible performance.
Yeah.
It's one or the other.
And he's like, you remember I told you Dr. Grant's gone missing? And Dr. Walsh was the one who gave us the list of names. Well, now he's gone missing.
Yeah.
It's really mysterious to me. I don't know what's going on.
Are you sure you don't know anything about it?
Yeah. And she's like, no, I've never been sexually assaulted. I've never seen it. And he's like, it's really weird because we've got this list of all these girls.
Yeah.
And we found all these rape tapes.
Yeah.
Of them all being raped.
All these sex parties that the surgeons
they've
had.
videoed it all. But there's not one for you, but you're on the list. It's really strange. And that's because Billy's got hers.
Because he's got Dr. Walsh's laptop.
He has. So we cut away from the scene and Billy's somehow managed to recover it.
So that laptop just had a video of...
I presume he's taken the one. Somehow found
So there's not
the
a
one
laptop for each girl.
I wouldn't have thought so, no. He somehow found her file and taken it away.
To be fair to the detective, although his delivery is terrible, the accent's terrible, the performance is terrible, whatever, he absolutely nails the plot at this point.
Yeah.
He literally says to Mary, I think this is what happened. You went to the party, you were raped, you were taped, you may be involved in...
Yeah.
He nails it.
He completely gets it right.
And she just goes, no.
Because she tries to drug... She's going to drug him. She puts something in his drink.
Yeah.
And then just before he drinks it, she swaps the glasses, like bottles it. Yeah. I don't know what she was intending on drugging him for.
It's messy.
It's very messy. I think her Nana dies at this point.
Yes, Nana's dead.
Because there was
Because she's got an iPhone.
Yeah.
And she's missed a call. She rings Nana back and someone else answers.
And that's the end of that.
Yeah. So she has a bit of a cry.
We don't find out that her Nana's dead. We just assume him that. Yeah. And then she deletes her Nana's number from the phone, which is quite a... Just leave it for a bit.
Yeah.
And then she goes to the club. When she gets to the club, Billy's interviewing another girl.
This made me laugh as well.
It was funny.
Because, I forgot about that bit. Yeah, she's down south.
Yeah, she's not massaging him. Well, she is, but with her mouth. And Mary interrupts that. And she says to him, I've just had a visit from the detective.
This is the bit that made me laugh.
Dr. Walsh has gone missing. Was that you?
He goes, oh, no. Yes.
It does. It changed his mind straight away. No, it wasn't. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was bad. It was bad.
I
didn't get this bit.
What bit?
Why
did she beat up the girl who was giving him the blowjob? I don't know. It was really weird. So she heads off to the bathroom.
Again, she's never shown any... the film has shown us that Billy is a bit obsessed with Mary.
She's never shown any affection for Billy. None at all.
So I didn't get this bit.
So she heads off to the bathroom where the girl who was just pleasuring Billy has headed. And she takes out her tools, her surgery tools, and lays them out in the sink. And then beats the...
I thought she'd injected her.
She did inject her with something. And then
but then she changes her mind.
And then she changes her mind, because she spots the cameras in the toilet. There's cameras in the toilet, so she spots them and bottles it.
And she basically scares her off. Yeah. It was really weird.
And then she goes outside and she chats to her a little bit more and then goes back in again.
She says something like, you were the wrong girl in the wrong place, sucking the wrong dick.
Yeah. Why are you beating this girl? What?
It didn't make sense.
He worked in a strip club. He was obviously not faithful to her. And they weren't an item anyway. And she's not shown any affection to him at all during the film. She's so madly in love with him that she goes back in at this point and stabs him.
But then she doesn't. That was a dream.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But it was weird.
It was messy. Yeah, it was
Billy
really messy.
has these scenes in this film where he's imagining stuff happening to him by her, and then they're not happening. That's really weird. So yeah, in his imagination, she stabs Billy, but she doesn't stab him. And then they have a drink together, and she says, "Do you think I'm crazy?" And he's like, "Yeah." But then she says, "Are you scared of me?" And she's like, "No." And she's like, "Well, other people have told me that you're scared of me." He's like, "I'm not scared of you." He's scared of her. And then he's like, "Beatrice has quit. She's done. She's had enough."
Yeah, and then just again out of totally nowhere, nothing has ever been hinted at before. Billy's like, I'm thinking of giving this place up because everything's going well for him.
Yeah.
He's got a club. Obviously, he's in a terrible, seedy business, and he's a criminal.
But he's making money out of it.
He's not. We've not seen him under any pressure. He's got away with these crimes. He's not.
He seems to be able to handle himself.
He's not in. He's not been mentioned in any of the detective stuff. But he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm thinking of giving this up. I'm going to move to LA."
Yeah, do you want to come to LA with me? That's what he says to her. He's like, "Do you want to come with me?" And she's like, I'll think about it because I've been thinking of having a change of pace as well. I'm kind of done with it. So she goes home to think about it, and she gets a phone call from Beatrice. I can't tell you what Beatrice says because her voice was very squeaky and she was in the middle of dying.
Yeah. She basically says, "I'm sorry, I had to tell him."
Yeah.
He wanted to know who did it to Ruby.
Right, okay. And she's basically dying in a pool of her own blood at this point while she's on the phone.
She's been killed by Ruby's husband.
She's been killed by Ruby's husband. And then somebody attacks Mary from behind.
Yeah.
And it's Ruby's husband. And he stabs her.
Well,
I don't understand how
they both got stabbed.
They both got stabbed somehow.
In a
tussle.
I know it's not fair to compare them, but the fight scenes we saw in last week's movie, and this was just it looked like they were having a hug, and then they were both lying on the floor stabbed.
Yeah, they both died.
Yeah.
But before Mary dies, because Mary does die at the end of this film, that's my spoiler. Before Mary dies, she crawls into her surgery in the same way Dr. Grant was crawling earlier.
Yeah.
And there was a really horrible sound where because she was crawling, she kept putting her hand down hard in the blood, and it was like a splat thud sound, and she was dragging herself along. It was horrible. And then she starts sewing herself up.
Yeah, she does.
She's got this stab wound, she's sewing herself up. But it's all for naught, because she dies.
The police turn up a bit later.
A bit later on. They find everything, basically. They find the bodies. Find Mary's body, Ruby's husband's body.
All the pictures of Alan Grant.
All the pictures of Mr. Grant, or Dr. Grant, Dr. Walsh. All the body modification pictures, the surgery. They find everything, and we're done.
She's dead on the floor.
She's dead on the floor.
That's it.
That's the end of the film.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This is manic.
Manic.
It's
That's
all
a good word.
over the place.
It's a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
It really is. I didn't like it. I just didn't. I found it really horrible.
Yes.
There's, like you said earlier, there's nobody to root for it. Even though the main character in this film gets raped at the beginning, you don't root for her.
No.
That's not right, surely.
I feel like there's ways you could have made a few changes to this, and you could have had that
possibly
dexterity. I'm rooting for this person.
Did she need to be raped? Because she was already turning.
Not how this film went. No,
she was already turning to that world anyway.
Yeah,
and then it did that because they needed that Dr. Grant visual of him with no arms and legs.
Yeah, so she had a revenge reason.
But there's plenty of revenge reasons out there. He could have kicked her out of her course.
Yeah.
She was already a psychopath.
He was already an abusive bastard before the...
Yeah, and she was already a psycho by that point.
The actual rape.
Yeah.
And her character, like I say, it doesn't develop. It is just normal...
Psycho.
Cutting people up for fun and money.
There's no story to this film. It's literally, she wants to be a surgeon, she becomes a surgeon, she dies at the end. Yeah. And there's not enough to it. And it's not a nice film, it's a nasty film.
I agree with everything you've said. Having said that...
Yeah.
I wanted to see it through. It intrigued me enough. And all those faults were apparent as I'm watching it. It made me laugh when it shouldn't have made me laugh. I was like, no, I'm with it though. I'm intrigued. I'm not.
It went at a pace.
I didn't like it, but I wasn't hating it whilst I was watching it.
Same.
If that makes sense.
It flew by. It was never boring. There was a tempo to it, and it was interesting.
Partly was because I'm like, I can't quite believe how manic this is.
Yeah.
It's delirious, isn't it? It's
crazy.
Yeah.
It's got every sort of...
it's at times cobbled together.
Yeah. Loads of different crazy movie tropes in it. There should be trigger warnings all over it because there's rape scenes.
I tell you what.
Body mod scenes, there's blood scenes, there's dead animals, there's dead people.
I'm not forgetting this in a hurry.
No, it's very memorable. That's true. It's not going anywhere.
And I can, like I said at the start, I can totally see why this is a sort of cult.
Yeah, I just don't think it has a place. But like you said at the beginning, it's of its time. It doesn't have a place in the world anymore. There's not an audience for this sort of film because it isn't torture porn. It doesn't go far enough to be torture porn.
Yeah.
And it's not really body horror because nobody's getting mangled. It's all normal. So people are having these surgeries in real life.
And I think
there's no genre for it. It's not a horror film, I don't think.
It is by
definition.
By almost, default. But
just because of a bit of blood. It's an 18, which is explicable.
But there's no scares. There's no jump scenes. There's no scares.
No.
There's and it's not...
There's
it's
not even
sick, but it's not grimy enough to be disturbing, is it?
No. There's just that one scene where he's hanging from the chains. Yeah. Other than that, you don't see anything. Like you say, you don't even see the results of the twin surgery.
No.
You only see Ruby's when she's all healed up and looks all right. And Beatrice never gets anything done. So
I think the subculture here is... I think you could do something really creepy.
Yeah. It just didn't quite go... It didn't go one way or the other enough. It's too middle ground.
It's not good. It's not a good film. It's a really memorable film. It's not a good film.
It's memorable for the wrong reasons.
It's really badly written.
Yeah.
It's not very well directed. It's terribly edited.
Paul, there's no great performances in it either.
No, there's no great ones.
Beatrice is the standout.
She's a hell of a character.
Yeah, she really is.
But she's not in it enough, is she? She's just striking. That look is just striking. It's a mess. It's all over the place.
Do you want to contrast with everything we've just said? Would you like to hear what Ross Cook said about it?
Yeah, I'd love to.
I've got 6 paragraphs.
Okay.
He's gone to town on it. He starts off. Ross Cook obviously is the guy who picked this film. He's one of our Patreons. He also does all of our artwork, which is wonderful. I'd say overall, I really liked it. Incredibly taboo, but pretty successful at what it is trying to accomplish. I will say parts made me sick to my stomach, but others made me laugh out loud.
I agree, but I would question whether there was many intentional laughs.
Oh, I don't think there was any intentional laughs. I honestly don't. I think they were purely going for... I don't think there was any comedy moments in there. Okay. Not intentionally. When the very bad thing happens to Mary, I was really worried it was just going to be a straight-up revenge movie, a la Last House on the Left or I Spit on Your Grave, both of which I hate. So I was very glad revenge was quickly taken and mostly off-screen. I think that's fair. I could, however, completely understand someone not liking this movie the same way people are turned off by Saw or Hostel. But while those are straight-up torture porn, I feel this has something more behind it. So he's going the other way. I think it's an insult to Saw to compare this film to Saw.
I felt it was more... It didn't know which way to go.
Yeah.
Because it didn't go down the torture porn route and it didn't go through the revenge route. And, yeah. I thought it was mixed messaging.
Agreed.
Personally.
He's put the ending was a bit lackluster and abrupt. I think maybe it lost its way towards the end, but I'd still rather watch something that swings wide and misses than plays it safe. Now, I think it does. I think this film does play it safe. If they're going for,
I don't know if it plays it safe by the fact it exists.
If you're going for torture porn or body horror, then this film's played it safe. If that's what they're going for, but it's debatable if that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not sure you can say it's playing it safe just because of the setting and the subject matter.
No.
I think you can maybe say it doesn't go far enough in there. But
if you're going for that genre,
but I'm almost like the fact that it exists is that it's not playing it safe.
If you're going for that drama, that genre, then it's played it safe because it hasn't made it, in my opinion. He's then put, I've liked Catherine Isabel in everything I've seen her in, and she, along with Tristan Risk as Beatrice, were standouts. Every other actor in the movie ranged from okay to awful. It looked great, and the special effects were uncomfortably realistic.
I don't think she was terrible as Mary. There was times where she was verging on good.
Yeah, verging on good. That's a good one. She was almost good in some bits.
But she is not helped by all the terrible script and the manicness of this.
And then he rounds it out.
She did her best.
Yeah, okay, fair. He rounds it out with, doubt it will trouble the very top of my list come the end of the season, but I'm glad I've watched it, if only so I can tell other people that I've watched it. Thanks for the words, Ross. We don't necessarily agree with you, but...
Oh, no, I think there's some good points in
He's got some good points. He's wrong on some points. Me and Ross have watched quite a few films together now, and we very rarely agree, so we have different ideas of films, I think. But that's what the movie industry is all about, isn't it? It's what films are all about. What's the best thing about this film, Nick?
Beatrice.
Agreed. Without a doubt.
Just memorable.
She's got the look. She doesn't look like that in real life, obviously. It was all made up, but and the character's the best one in it.
So, and as a result of that, actually, you might have hit on what is also one of the best things. It's not just her character; it's her look.
Yeah,
and the work that the makeup have managed to do, and costume with that character, is actually it's good because it's memorable.
It felt like a lot of research had gone into the body modification scene.
Yeah,
and there were genuinely people in this film who have had body modification operations. So it really felt like they were involved in that community while they made this, and it's not insulting to that community. I wouldn't have thought, and I imagine it's quite a big film in that community. But I imagine that's what they've gone for, and I think that's why they've got that character so right. And Ruby, the character of Ruby was really good as well. She wasn't in it as much as Beatrice, but it worked. What's the worst thing about it? What would you change? What is the question I ask you? What would you change about it? If you could change anything, it needs to go further into it.
It needs a rewrite. It's directionless.
Yes.
It needs to pick a lane.
It needs to pick a genre. And if you're going torture porn, body horror, you need to go for it. You need to stop cutting away from those scenes and show me what's going on.
There's not enough. There's potentially you could go that route. I think you could do a really good black comedy.
Yeah.
But it's not good enough for that.
There's a few genres it could head towards, but it doesn't head to any of them, in my opinion.
I think there's a lot of potential in this scene and in this
you could go
setting.
There is. You could go proper good thriller.
It just doesn't nail it.
Yeah, you could go proper good thriller, like you say, black comedy, torture porn. There's loads of different genres it could go to. Yeah. It just doesn't fit in any of them for me.
Yeah,
that's what's wrong with it.
And maybe that is partly because of budget. You know, there could be a myriad of reasons for that, but it doesn't nail it.
It's badly written.
Yeah,
that's the ultimate thing, isn't it? That's what it comes down to. Stream table.
Okay.
I've not got the full thing here, but I've gone close. So, how many have we done so far this season?
This is our 7th episode.
So currently the stream table looks like this. In 6th is Secret Obsession. In 5th is Destruction Las Vegas. In 4th is A Classic Horror Story. 3rd is Containment. 2nd is Arlo the Alligator Boy. And currently at number 1 in the stream table is last week's film, What Happened to Monday. Where would you slide this one in, Nick?
It's better than Secret Obsession.
Agreed. I think that's where it goes for me.
I think
you're looking at me like you do not agree.
I think there is a conversation to be had on if this is above Destruction Las Vegas, and I think we would have slightly different answers.
I think you're right because there's no way it is for me. There just isn't. This I did not have fun watching. I did not have fun watching this film, and I don't think this film knows what it is. Destruction Las Vegas knows exactly what it is.
I would say right at the start, I know I'm not going to win this because I owe you one.
You do.
If it was me personally, I would be putting this above Destruction Las Vegas just because it's fucking weird.
Do you remember Destruction Las Vegas came too early in this season because it doesn't fit in that stream table, and we said at the time we'd argue about it, and since then every week we have pretty much
because it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun,
but it's terrible.
Yes.
This is bad.
That's what I want from my
film. This is
film.
bad.
This is terrible, but not fun.
But it's not like anything you'll see.
No.
For a long, long, long time.
No, it's not.
And that would, for me, I'd have it above. But I don't care that much. I'm not that strongly about this film, which I've just slagged off for most of an hour, to argue it above that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes. So it's going there then.
I will cede to you because I know I owe you one.
Thank you.
But I would personally just give it, I would edge it above.
It's close, but it's not beating it.
So that would put it
6.
6 out of 7 so far.
Secret Obsession still bottom of the stream. And no, What Happened to Monday still top of the stream.
Yeah.
So what we need to do now is pick next week's film.
Let's do it.
Shall we get Robin out?
Yes, please.
Robin. Oh, we need to get somebody to do a voice of Robin now. We've got this character now. We need somebody. We need a voice actor. Does anybody know any voice actors? What would you like to see this week, Nick? What have we not done for a while?
I think it's probably a comedy. We're probably quite light on comedies so far this season.
Okay. I'm going to press my button.
Yes, please.
Are you ready? I'll turn my volume up before I do. It has picked a film called Good Time.
Okay.
Any ideas what Good Time is?
None whatsoever.
No?
Although, it best be alright if it's called that.
It's what we're after, isn't it? We're always after a good time. Good Time is from 2017. It's a 15. It's described on IMDb as a crime drama thriller.
Okay.
We've not done a good crime drama for a while.
No.
Do you want the synopsis?
I would love the synopsis.
After a botched bank robbery lands his younger brother in prison, Connie Nikas embarks on a twisted odyssey through New York City's underworld to get his brother Nick out of jail.
Okay.
Would you like to know who's in it?
Yes, please.
Robert Pattinson.
Oh.
Batman himself.
Wow.
Benny Safdie, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Bakad Abdi. Rated currently at 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb, which I think makes it the third highest rated film we've ever done. So that's going to be interesting, isn't it?
I'm in.
You in?
Yes.
Let's do it.
I'm up for a good time.
It's on for an hour and 42 minutes. So yeah, go and check out Good Time. And in the meantime, check us out on Instagram, Twitter and Letterboxd. Our username is at BOTS_podcast. If you want to drop us an email, you can do that. It's bottomofthestream@gmail.com. And you can check out our website, which is bottomofthestream.com. On there, you'll find every episode we've ever recorded, all the stream tables, loads of other cool stuff. And you can even get some merch if you want a Bottom of the Stream
Fruit bowl.
Maybe. So do that. Then head over to Patreon, patreon.com/bottomofthestream. On there for a couple of quid every month, you will get bonus episodes. You will get early access to the movie show episode. Nick writes a newsletter every month.
Yeah.
And for
due any time now.
Yeah, it's due any day. And if you come in at the top level, you will get a wild card. So like Ross Cook has just done, you will get to play your card. You pick the film and we'll watch it and let you know what we think of it. And we probably won't agree with what you think of it. So do all that, and then when you finish that, go on to Discord. The Discord link will be in the bottom of the show notes.
Yeah, come and join us in Discord. It is a fun time.
It is. We're going to do some more movie watch-alongs.
Yeah,
we've got a Christmas one we're going to do, and we need to do Left Behind 2 and 3.
Yeah, we'll share details of those shortly. If you have a few minutes, please consider leaving us a review anywhere that you can review podcasts, because it really helps our algorithms and gets our name out there. You can do that on Podchaser, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon.
Yes. So
can you review podcasts on there?
I don't know, but you can listen to it now.
Yeah.
So for some reason, after the iBoy episode, which was the opening episode of season 3, we just stopped being on Amazon.
Okay.
I don't know why. So I fixed it. All the episodes are now there and live. So you can go onto Amazon and you can even get your Alexa to play that for you if you want to. Just say, Alexa, play Bottom of the Stream, and she will.
Yeah. Excellent. Maybe you could... I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't want to say modify yourself into the form of a review.
Cuts the review into your own skin.
No, absolutely not.
Don't do that.
Just give us a review. It really helps. Thank you
really
very
does.
much.
It really does help. So drop us a review anywhere you can review us. And then when you've done that, go and watch Good Time. And we'll come back next week for The Wave on Monday and the movie show on Thursday.
Cheers.
Bye.